at Moedim, in our mind, we typically think of the appointed festivals because we are backward looking in time. When we first come into understanding the Torah and keeping the festivals, and we know that they are Moedim, they are appointed times of the year that are kept every year. They're an annual Sabbath, a very important thing. I would like to point out that that is a result of what Moedim are. That is not the cause of the word Moedim. The festivals are simply Moedim in the sense of being an appointed time, a time of appointment, or it could be a certain season, in a certain season. We know the Moedim, the festivals have to be in their proper Moedim. The concept of Moedim is something right from the beginning that existed before there were specified feast days and festival times.
Appointed times, sign, or
so there are signs. That's the Moedim are a sign or a signal. That's how we get to an appointed time. So the moon, created in the beginning, right, is for a purpose. It is asa, made for a purpose, for Moedim, for a signal, for a signal is the best kind of meaning we can put to that. Of a cycle, perhaps, okay? Moedim do have to do with cycles also. There can be other signs, those are called ot. But
the cycles is where seasons.
The cycles of seasons, that's where a season can be more than just the four natural seasons. A season of a man's life, the season of whatever, the season, I'm thinking of Woodstock now, the season of Woodstock love or whatever they called that. But that's a
season, even a dispensation. It's a
speak up.
It's a cyclical season, a marker of a change of time into another segment. You got the 4 seasons of the year. The year is the entire thing, but the seasons are the 4 segments of that year. So anytime there's a segment happening, you have this Moedim concept in play.
Yeah, if we can.
I think.
What's that, Stephen?
In my experience, I know when they have at Hanukkah, there's a phrase there that's used at that time, in those days, at this season, and they don't use the word moed there. They use the words zaman and et for seasons, so that moed doesn't seem to be playing in there at all. At this season of the year, back in those days, like at that time, this occurred, about the Maccabees. But they use at this when we're talking about this time of year. Let's see, it said by Yamim Hahim Lazaman Hazeh, I think it is, or by Et Hahu. Let me think. It's either Et or Zaman that they're using for a season of the year, not using the word Moed at all. So I would think that Moed is more like an appointment, whereas a season or a time of year would be either Et or Zaman in Hebrew.
Right. So right, there is a sense of appointment with the term of Moed. It's almost ordained for a certain timing of something, rather than the time itself. It is an ordained indicator, something that we can go by in the physical to bring us to a transitional, a beginning of a new cycle, or the end, a place or a certain event, I guess.
Do you think that okay? Because the issue of this is that if the moon is not what we're setting the calendar by. It's kind of like, well, what is it for? And when it says he made the moon for the, maybe it's speaking for its seasons. He made the moon for its cycles. That
Okay,
what
that's
we're
kind of where we're
getting at.
going.
That's
Yeah.
where we're
All right.
headed.
has its
That's, yeah.
own seasons, its own cycles, not though connected to the 7 moed of the year, moedim of the year. That it's just saying the moon does have its seasons. The sun has its setting and its coming. So maybe it's like we're making too much out of it with this word moedim. It's kind of like saying, the moon has its cycles, definitely full moon, sliver moon, and the sun has its rising and setting. That's all it means.
Well, we're gonna look at the balance of the scriptures that have this word in it, Uriah, to see kind of what.
Well,
let scripture speak for itself to draw you into the total conclusion of what this moed is that the moon is trying to show us.
yeah, I think Dan has expressed, and what I was trying to get across is to separate the idea of moedim and the feasts.
Right.
Okay,
They're two separate things. Yeah.
David Sturgeon's here today.
This may be something we understand as we're talking. I'm just going to bring that out. Maybe oversimplification here, but the sun doesn't really set. The earth revolves around.
Right.
Very good.
It's only stationary. We use these terms as setting, and of course it means something different, obviously in Hebrew there, than what we say in English, because setting, whatever, doesn't mean that it actually sets. That's just a bad translation of the Hebrew word. So actually, I think what he's saying that as the earth rotates and rolls around in circles and goes around the sun, the moon does the same thing around the earth. So it is kind of complicated in some sense to say. So we have to just sort out and say, okay, we're seeing the cycle of the earth going around the sun. We're seeing the moon. What is today's he has for us? And so it's not that easy. The Spirit of the Lord has been reminding me as I've been coming introduced to this that to search the scriptures to know these things are true and to keep study to show yourself approved, a workman who does not need to be ashamed. So to keep searching and looking, and we all think we know 100% of the Hebrew right now. We know best we can, but we're still seeking and searching. And we have a heart to get as close as we can what it's saying. He will reveal it to us. Yes. By His Spirit, He will reveal it to us if we're seeking His truth. Absolutely. So He's the ultimate teacher. We need to do our research, but the Spirit of God, as the Messiah said, He will guide you in all truth. John 14. So that's what I'm believing for us and me, that He will be the one that will show us the ultimate truth. Not so much.
Amen.
Amen.
Hallelujah.
All right.
Yes.
Let's go to the next slide, Dan.
Okay.
And speaking of that, while he's transitioning here to the next slide, again, the Bible is written to bring man into the picture from man's perspective. That setting is exactly what he's talking about. From God's perspective, it's something entirely different, but from ours, it looks like it's setting.
And as you brought out, that it's not even setting isn't even a good translation there. It's really coming in. Ba is an entering rather than a going out.
Yeah, the word can mean either coming in or going out. Yeah.
Yeah, but if somebody wants you to come closer, they'll say, "Oh." If they want you to leave, they'll say more like left. Go or set, go out. So yeah.
Yeah.
Okay.
All right. So now just to going back to the beginning here in Genesis chapter 1. We'll just read through 14 through 19. And Elohim said, "Let there be lights in the vault of the sky to separate the day from the night, and let them serve as signs to mark sacred times and days and years." It's interesting. The Moedim, the sacred times, are being translated as the Moedim are being translated as sacred times, and King James as seasons, right? For seasons and for days and years. And let them be lights in the vault of the sky to give light on the earth. And it was so. Elohim made 2 great lights, the greater light, okay, keep that in mind, the greater light to govern the day, and the lesser light to govern the night. he also made the stars. God Elohim set them in the vault of the sky to give light on the earth, to govern the day and the night, and to separate light from darkness. Okay, that right there is instrumental. Um, to govern day and night. We know at the very beginning, the first thing he does is he creates light. I kind of went through some of this in the beginning here to show how the calendar embraces creation. He separates the light from the darkness. The first day is evening and morning. So right in the very beginning, we have light and dark, evening and morning. And then here, coming to the fourth day of creation, is when we get sun, moon, and stars, and it's actually called night and day, day and night. We have evening, morning, and then it still says here at verse 19, and there was evening and there was morning, the fourth day. So these evening and morning were keeping time. There was evening and morning before there were celestial bodies for us to be able to see. So we call day 4 the beginning of observable time, because it gives us observable light and celestial bodies to be able to see, to know the time. Even before we were created, he created these things for life on earth. And then, of course, it ends.
All right, go ahead.
We got David.
Come up here.
Saying, they can hear me.
Yeah, they
No,
can.
come up here.
Well,
Okay.
it's better close to the mic.
That's okay.
Because there's a lot of
Sorry about
other
that.
people too.
Now maybe this is already given here, but first day, evening and morning. So 3 days without visible light was still evening and morning. So if you're saying the fourth day is where we start things with, then you actually have the light. But it was evening and morning separation for some distinction that Yahweh did, even though it may not have been light as we know it as the sun in the sky. So am I making sense?
Mm-hmm.
So if you're saying it was the fourth day, so I don't see the word moon in verse 14 either. I don't see that. I think I've heard somewhere that there was one great light. The moon reflects the light of the sun. It has no light on its own.
Right.
Exactly.
Right.
It reflects the light of the sun. So it's only one great light, and that's the sun. The moon is a reflection of it, of the great light.
Absolutely. Well, the Bible calls it a light to govern the night, but it is really the sun's light. It's where we're going here, David. Is that
somewhere in the sun, they can see the brightness in the sun. Somewhere in the planet, you know. So
I don't know. What was that squeak?
I think that's a chair.
Oh, okay.
Oh, okay.
It picks up.
All right.
I think they can hear you fine from back there.
A couple more things to point out in this passage here, though, is we have seasons, days, and years. We don't have months. We don't have weeks here either. But we do know that in creation, he hallowed the seventh day, thereby creating a week by a matter of counting days. So in creation, we have the creation of the sun, moon, and stars, light, dark, evening, morning, which I would suggest evening and morning show us there is a heavenly day, but yet a day on earth, then we have sun, moon, and stars to be able to have physical time, observable time. So day and or night and day are quite similar to evening and morning, but they may be talking about two different types of day. And I believe that the heavenly day is the same as when it comes down to our reckoning in this dimension is a 24-hour day, but yet we know through physics and theory of relativity and so on that there are dimensional differences that can alter our perception of time and how that works. So that's a whole nother subject I don't mean to get into.
I read a book recently that was suggesting that maybe on the fourth day is when the Earth actually came within the sun's gravitational pull, and that before that it was kind of moving through space somewhere, and then Yahweh brought it into the sun's domain on the fourth day. That's why there was light, but it wasn't the sun's light until that point.
Good explanation.
It's an interesting scenario, and then there's the whole that would point to the gap theory, I guess, maybe between verse 1 and verse 2. And I keep all that on the shelf. I don't discount any of it. There's more to it than what we can see right here, for sure. How this all was created. It says in the beginning. Well, the beginning of what? The beginning of this creation, or was there more? That's
yeah. It doesn't even say Bereshit, it says Bereshit, which is a beginning. So,
Rob Skeetle believes that there were a number of other beginnings and that this was just man,
Yeah, I'm not opposed to that idea.
We can't
say
that's
one
not
way or the
true.
other. Yeah,
yeah, the only drawback, I think, and I read that this week too, is that we're putting the fall of Hasatan before the big creation of humans, was that then there would have had to have been sin before Yahweh said it was very good, and I don't know if so that's another issue, but yeah.
All right, back on topic here. We can, all these little rabbit trails can lead into a whole lot of stuff.
They're fun though.
But they're fun, yeah. Psalm 136, verses 7 through 9. To him who made the great lights, for his steadfast love endureth forever, for his mercy endureth forever. The sun to rule over the day. Now, you could look at that. The word day can be just the light part of the day, or it can mean the whole 24-hour period, too. Consider that the sun does rule over the day, but the moon and stars to rule over the night. And they do that. Of course, we know the stars do shine their own light, but they don't give us very much light. They just kind of twinkle up in the sky. And then the moon at times gives us more light than others. I don't know if anybody saw the full moon last night, but I got to see a beautiful shot of full moon shining over our neighbor's pond, not a cloud in the sky, and birds and bugs doing their summertime music at night, and it was just gorgeous.
Was it red there? Was it red there?
No, it was orange though. I think it's something maybe from the smoke you're saying.
My son sent me a text saying the moon is red, but it was too low on the horizon for us to see past the trees here. But my other son was supposed to have taken a picture of it, so I'm hoping he did. He was in a place where he could see it. So he said it was red.
Yeah.
The version that's used here in our PowerPoint is ESV. It says steadfast love. His steadfast love endures forever. KJV uses his mercy endures forever. Whichever way you want to count that, think about the fact that he's saying here that these lights were given to us and they will endure forever. And in the context of time, as we know it now, and that's due to his love and steadfast mercy to us to provide these breaks in day and night, these markers for day and night throughout time.
Right. So we're on track here with establishing basically that the sun and moon work together to establish day and night. Let's go to the next slide, Psalm 90, verse 12.
If I can get it. There we go.
Right, and this is, so teach us to number our days that we may present a heart of wisdom. Well, okay, we got different versions here. Teach us to number our days that we may gain a heart of wisdom. Teach us to realize the brevity of life. Wow. So that we may grow in wisdom.
That's quite a paraphrase.
Yeah, realize the brevity of life. So teach us to number our days that we may get a heart of wisdom.
And
so
number means count.
Basically, yeah. What would how does this work? For one thing, to teach us to number our days doesn't mean assigning a number particularly to every day. It does mean to count them. That word number means count. Let's see, it's mana, to enumerate. And there again, it has a connotation of being appointed or set to certain days. To enumerate our days, for there needs to be purpose or reason to it, and to count our days. It's not just any kind of a arbitrary kind of a thing, but there needs to be a certain.
This I did a preaching on this, and in light of the calendar, if you just take this, teach us to number our days, teach us to how to do a calendar, is what it's saying. Numbering our days is what a calendar is. I hadn't considered it in that light. What I had done with this, thinking of how do we number our days, because just prior to this, it says it's given unto man 70 years and it by strength 80. So it's interesting that the average lifespan of man for 3,000 years has been about the same. Some live a little longer, some live a little less, but how do we number our days? And the point that I was always making this is that you don't number your days by counting the ones you think you've got left. People, right. I think I should live to be 90. I've been counting on that. That's foolish. And to count the number of days you've had, well, you can do that and be thankful. I've lived 365 times 64, almost 65. It's 38,000 something days. And, so I'm thankful for those days of life. But really it gets down to it. I think in numbering your days, you can only count today. You can only count one day at a time. And today's the only day we can count. Yesterday's gone. We don't have tomorrow. So that's what to me, to number our days. But in light of this calendar, I think that's great. Think of this in terms of teach us how to reckon days on on this cycle.
And how to count the days. If we couldn't count to 7, we wouldn't know when Sabbath was. We'd just be floating out there somewhere. You have to count the days because there's no light in the sky to tell you when it's Sabbath. You have to count the days.
Maybe make your days count is another way to put it too. In light of what he was talking about, that make your days count.
What do you got, David?
Hebrew
Well,
word.
that's it. There needs to be purpose to this counting, to the structure. It needs to be. See, Yahweh is creating order out of chaos in the universe. The second verse of Genesis 1, it talks about everything was void and formless, and He's bringing shape and order into a universe that had become corrupted somehow. Perhaps it was out of order. It was void. It was chaotic.
David,
there was trouble.
Yeah.
What's that?
Go ahead and finish your thought. Then David's got something.
Okay, so numbering our days, counting our days, there's purpose to that, and this is how when you think about just counting days, how does that bring you wisdom? How do you get a heart of wisdom? Well, when you see how the calendar plays a role in having an understanding of how Yahweh relates to us through His creation and through the seasons, through the timing of days and weeks and Sabbaths and then the feast days and so on. That's how we get to know Him. We come into relationship with Him because we can only, if we truly see the creation for the wonder and the miracle that it is, then we have to know that there is an unseen force. There's an unseen something that for years, thousands of years, man has called Elohim. And we can actually have a personal relationship that we know now exists through our Messiah. And so all this is about teaching us and bringing us into His fold to be a part of His flock for an even greater purpose, more than our salvation. He loves us. He wants us to be with him. And there's a grand plan. I don't know what it all is, but I know there's a lot more waits for us to grow into as his children.
Okay, David?
I was just going to add the word, Hebrew word, in the perfect tense there. It says manah, which means to count, number, or reckon. And I think a good application that, what kind of add in what we're saying already, that there should be a personal accountability in days that we live. That not just go through the motion kind of thing. How was my past week? What did I do for Yahweh this past week? Was I living for myself? Did I fall short and sin? Or was I focused on accountability and the assignment that he given me as a disciple of Messiah to worship, walk, and witness on a daily basis? Those elements there in the context of personal accountability.
It's interesting that the word count is in accountability.
Yeah.
Too. You got the word count in there as well.
Right.
Yeah. Try to hold other people accountable, but hold ourselves accountable. Well, I'm not really okay. I just need to evaluate someone else. You know?
Yeah.
No, we need to evaluate ourselves first.
Yeah. Okay.
All right, let's go to the next one here. All right. Psalm 89, just before Psalm 90. 34 through 37. My covenant will not break, nor alter the thing that is gone out of my lips. Once have I sworn by my holiness that I will not lie unto David. His seed shall endure forever, and his throne as the sun before me. So there, I want to stop right there, and that says to me that the Son has prominence. The Son has a place of authority. As his throne, as the sun before me, it shall be established forever as the moon and as a faithful witness in heaven. So this, I think, is a clear picture of where the moon comes into the picture as a faithful witness. It is also established forever. The sun is before him as a throne, and the moon established forever as a faithful witness of the sun.
Mm-hmm.
We see throughout Scripture where we have done word searches on the word Yereach, which means moon, and everywhere except one time we have found.
I might have missed something.
Yeah, this is what
we noticed that there was one place that it didn't.
One place that it doesn't mention the sun, but wherever you find the moon mentioned, the sun is also part of the context. So they really seem to be considered together. Whenever the moon is being considered for something, it is in relationship to the sun. The sun has dominance. The sun, of course, we know gives the light. And it is because of the sun. I love how David mentioned, how the science is so true with what the Word of God says. That where we are revolving, and I would suspect that ancient cultures understood how the earth does revolve around the sun, and they talked about these things in terms that are from our perspective here on earth,
right.
But they knew the sun wasn't actually like going down in the ocean and going to drown or something
right.
like that. They knew that we were actually rotating and moving around the sun. They may not have understood it as technically speaking as we do, but I'm sure they had a feel for that. And now I got sidetracked, but.
Well, while he's figuring it out, I just want to interject that the sun and the moon here are shown to work in tandem. And it's that way consistently in the Word, that they work in tandem. And this is showing to me anyway, that the way the moon works as a witness for the sun is to reflect the sun's light when the sun isn't able to shine to us on its own because of the movement of the earth around the sun. The moon then witnesses that the sun is still shining even though we don't see the direct rays of the sun.
I think it's interesting to that David's seed is mentioned as in parallel with the moon, whereas the throne is in parallel with the sun. You can think of it in terms of Yahweh and Yeshua, because there's Yeshua comes before the throne and receives his commission to be the Son of Man and everything, and he's the one that you can look at the moon to see the sunlight. You can't look directly at the sun. When he says, he who has seen me has seen the Father. He who has seen the moon has seen the sun. They're not the same thing, but they're in tandem for sure. And the seed being Yeshua, and as David's seed, which will endure forever, even maybe longer than the moon. But that there's a connection there too.
Amen. That's how Yahweh communicates to us, is in these patterns.
Type and pattern.
It's typology and patterns, and it's there that yes, Yeshua was a reflection of Yahweh to us, and he took on the sin. He had a certain corruption that he had to endure. I'll just leave it at that.
Okay.
Where the Father remained perfect in
Right.
heaven. Also, I'll go back to that the last one yet there, Dan. There was something else that I was going to point out in the Psalms about the moon being a faithful witness. Oh, I just wanted to point out the overall thing here is that if you think about how the Torah talks about making a vow, and when you swear by this or that, Yeshua says, just let your yea be yea and your nay be nay. But here, Yahweh himself, Elohim, is making a vow really about this covenant with David, to have his seed endure forever as the sun, and it shall be established forever as the moon, as a faithful witness in heaven. These implements that Yahweh has placed in the heavens for us to be able to know our times and our place in his universe are a witness for his covenant with David. I mean, this is placing a huge importance on the sun and the moon as a witness of the sun.
The word witness there is ed also, so it's the root word for moed. So the words are connected. So the moedim are connected to ed, the witness, as well.
Witness the ed.
Yeah.
Oh, great! That's wonderful. That's a nice, good going there. Yeah. Okay, Job 25, 4-6. How then can man be justified with Elohim? How can he be clean that is born of a woman? Behold, even to the moon, and it shineth not, yea, the stars are not pure in his sight. How much less man that is a worm, and the son of man which is a worm. Okay, now this is the verse where there's no mention of the sun here. It's just about the moon, and it does talk about, aren't the stars, behold, even to the moon? Yeah, and the stars, right. And the stars are not pure in his sight. So this is a little bit more of a commentary here as far as the hierarchy, perhaps, of sun, moon, and stars, comparing moon and stars in the same kind of unclean, impure thing as a man that is born of a woman.
Okay, and I need to interject here. I absolutely, Stephen, love your typology of the Father and the Son being the sun and the moon type thing, but it's one of several, and there are also some that paint it in another direction, and that's where we're going with this. So don't think it has anything to do with the Father and the Son when we talk about this.
Okay.
Okay.
Right.
Maybe,
It's just the-
maybe Job's answer is right there though, because I don't think he was thinking of it this way. But how can he be clean who was born of a woman? There's only one who was
What
clean, born of a woman, and he's the one that's called the moon, right?
But we're going to cover a little bit more about how the moon acts in a manner that is not consistent with the glory of the sun, let's say. So,
Well, we have to consider with the son, with Yeshua, he was born of a woman. He came as a man. He did what no man can do, of course, because that was the Father shining through him. But he did go through death. So there's a certain
ceremonial impurity.
impurity, corruption that happened to him, not to say that he himself was impure or corrupted, but he had that experience of being in corruption. I'll put it that way. Yeah, without being corruption himself.
Okay, well, let's move on and then
So,
we'll get into
yeah, we're not
more of
getting
this.
hung
I
up in
wanna
semantics.
get
Yeah.
stymied here.
All right, Jeremiah 8, verses 6 through 8. I hearkened and heard, but they spake not aright. No man repented him of his wickedness, saying, What have I done? Everyone turned to his course, as the horse rusheth into the battle. Yea, the stork in the heaven knoweth her appointed times, and the turtle and the crane and the swallow observe the time of their coming. But my people know not the judgment of Yahweh. How do you say, We are wise, and the law of Yahweh is with us? Lo, certainly in vain made he it, the pen of the scribes is in vain. Well, concentrating on verse 7 here.
Our appointed times.
Right, the appointed times. The stork in the heaven knoweth her Moedim. So there's another example of Moedim that has nothing to do with feast cycles or seasons. Well, I mean, it does have to do with seasons, because the stork, I'm not exactly sure what the season or appointed time is for a stork in heaven. But the turtle and the crane, the turtle dove and the crane and the swallow observe the time of their coming. It's speaking of the natural cycles in nature and how animals just know. Well, we just experienced it with our cat Muffin. She knew when it was her time to make the exit, and she let us know. And we had 2 weeks to prepare and to be with her and to
Love her and
nourish her and let her know how much she was loved. And then she departed. And it was a very restful and peaceful thing, especially the day of her departure. She really was a little trooper and waited for us to be able to spend time with her. And then she just so smoothly slipped away that when I laid her down into her box that we eventually buried her in, I wasn't even sure if she was actually gone yet or not. We didn't know when she actually left, but she slipped away so peacefully and quietly. So the animals know their time of coming and going. That word for coming is the Hebrew word. Let's see, we got it here.
Where is it?
Right there.
Oh, they're right here. Okay.
Bo. Oh yeah, bo. It means going or coming. It's another one of these words that has a wide range of meanings in the English, but it's talking about moving, going somewhere, coming from somewhere, or something. So and it also speaks of having purpose to their going and coming.
It's exactly parallel with Psalm 104, where it talks about the moon with the season, the appointed times, and the sun knows it's coming.
Yes.
It's exactly the word is the same way there.
Yes.
Exactly.
That's
all right.
That's where we're going.
You're seeing it. Yeah, thank you.
That's our parallel.
That's it.
Okay.
Yeah. There we go. That's it.
Okay, so moving on.
So moving on now, we go to Exodus 13:10. All right. Thou shalt therefore keep this ordinance in his season from year to year. Okay, the key word here that we wanted to zero in on was ordinance. And that is chukah, which means an appointed, a custom, a manner, a site, or a statute. I thought we had other meanings on that. We had a different.
I didn't go to Strong's. That's what was
Well,
the
it's an
number?
appointed time as an ordinance. Actually an ordained appointed time, directly commanded from Yahweh. This is in reference to the Passover and things that are involved in this ordinance are when they came. It signifies the coming out of Egypt.
And enactment, something prescribed.
All right, yeah, an ordinance, an enactment, or something prescribed. So at a certain point every year, this is where it's very critical to know where we're at in the revolution of the heavenly bodies in the year at our time here on planet Earth, to mark this time of when they came out of Egypt, and there's a consecration of the firstborn. I guess we didn't bring up the whole passage there.
Yeah, which word is used for season there?
Moed.
Yeah, it's Moed.
Mhm. You ready to move on?
So it goes on to talk about how this was the time, this ordinance for this time is when to mark the coming out of Egypt and a consecration of the firstborn. So these are two very prominent themes, I guess you could say, throughout, in prophecy throughout the whole Bible, from the beginning to the end, about the restoring us back into his heavenly kingdom, coming out of bondage, and the consecration of the firstborn, because his firstborn is going to be sacrificed.
Dan's wanting to move us along here. Jeremiah 31:35.
Okay, I'm not sure why we had that in there though. I don't know how that all fit into our discussion before. I think we had something that we wanted to say there about that, and I'm not sure what it is. Okay, so now we're to Jeremiah 31, 33 through 36. And of course, this is where everybody wants to say, we're under the new covenant. This is the covenant I will make with the people of Israel after that time, declares Yahweh. I will put my Torah in their minds and write it on their hearts. I will be their Elohim, and they will be my people. No longer will they teach their neighbor or say to one another, know Yahweh, because they will all know me, from the least of them to the greatest, declares Yahweh. I would submit to you this has not happened yet. For I will forgive their wickedness and will remember their sins no more. This is what Yahweh says, he who appoints the sun to shine by day. Now, isn't it interesting? This is how we're identifying Yahweh, is making this covenant. He's the one who appoints the sun to shine by day, who decrees the moon and stars to shine by night, who stirs up the sea so that its waves roar. Yahweh, or El Shaddai, actually, probably Yahweh Almighty is his name. Only if these decrees vanish from my sight, declares Yahweh, will Yisrael ever cease from being a nation before me. These decrees vanishing, being his decrees that are being
Chaha again.
Huh?
That was Chaha again, ordinances.
The ordinances are
KJV.
chaka, yep, the chaka. But here again, he's we're bringing in the one who appoints the sun to shine by day. Is it Asa that who appoints the sun?
You're in the wrong. That's not a KJV, so I don't know
35. Okay, verse 35.
I don't know what the word for appoints is here. See that
Giveth.
giveth? Okay. That's
Probably
Mishkan.
Nathan.
Okay, that's not appoints. Okay, see, that's a different translation.
Is it the word
Gives the sun a light by day.
Be Nathan then probably, or 10. And then
Stephen,
decrease. Oh, hang on, I can look it up quickly.
So anyway, here's another passage we have with speaking of a covenant and showing us the place of the sun and moon in his creation and the stars and how they are going to be with us as long as they need to be before this covenant to be declared or fulfilled.
Here's your word giveth. Bestows.
Yeah, he bestows, he permits, he ascribes it, employs. He employs the sun to shine by day. Anyway, it's just another example: sun and moon, star, moon and stars by night. So, yeah, this what we've been talking about here ever since the beginning is we are stuck in a paradigm. We are in Egypt right now. Of course, we are in bondage to sin. We have a paradigm or a reality of duality that we cannot escape. We are stuck in this world of light and dark. We are stuck here in good and bad. There's evil and love. There is always there's just no way that we can get around facing our duality. So here in Psalm 72, 5 through 7, may he endure as long as the sun, as long as the moon, through all generations. See, there's the duality that we are stuck in here is being depicted in the sun and moon also. May he be like rain falling on a mown field, like showers watering the earth. In his days, may the righteous flourish and prosperity abound till the moon is no more. What is that? What's till the moon is no more? Interesting how till the moon is no more, but there is still, it doesn't say about the sun being no more, but the moon. So I think something that I sensed embedded here is showing moving out of the duality into the next realm in his kingdom, a realm of light where there is no darkness. I'll just leave that there with you to think about, and let's go on.
Yeah,
I
David.
think we've already seen a couple other references you had. We see it here.
come up here.
Get in
Psalm
here.
7:2. Can you hear me okay, Bill?
Yeah.
Karen?
Well,
Nah, we're hearing a lot of echo.
little bit.
Okay.
A lot of room
David, if you're close.
Sometimes there's so much richness in what we're looking at, but I think you see some connections here a previous passage talked about, and especially looking at Jeremiah 31. We spent a lot of time looking at that, but Jeremiah 30 through 35 talk about the whole discourse, a comparison of faithfulness to the sun and the moon and the sky to his eternal covenant. So the covenant he's talking about is the Olam covenant. It's permanent. The ordinance is something that is unchangeable in the Hebrew language. He will not alter that. It's unchangeable. As fixed as that covenant is, the eternal covenant, it says renewed in Jeremiah 31, which is a verb. Renewed, he's renewing the eternal covenant. As he's set aside permanently this establishment of the sun and the moon working together in terms of this covenant. You see the parallel of the sun and the moon working together. You see the covenant relationship between Yahweh and King David.
Right.
The connections there. I'm doing this personal study now, writing a little paper on that. It is amazing. We've already seen it twice. He's connecting the covenant with the earth, with sun and moon, to the covenant he has with David through Messiah. And those connections are there. If we read it too fast, we'll miss it. So he's showing us more than it's really the eye there. You could spend a long time there. But I just want to pull that out because I think that's really good to tie those connections to the sun and the moon and the covenant with the Creator to us as the covenant he makes through David to Messiah, those are all very powerful statements. So I thought it was worth bringing out and highlighting for a moment.
Absolutely.
Thank you.
Yeah, hallelujah. Thank you. Yeah, a lot of good input.
Okay, Revelation.
Yeah, now let's go. We'll wrap it up here in Revelation. Then I saw a new heaven and a new earth. So we know this is coming. For the first heaven and the first earth had passed away, and there was no longer any sea. Then next verse, up to 21, 23. The city does not need the sun or the moon, the new Jerusalem, to shine on it, for the glory of Elohim gives it light, and the Lamb is its lamp. So here again, I mean, it's just letting us know we will be in a place where there is no need for sun or moon. It's just going to be, we're going to have light. And then we'll wrap it up with Revelation 22, verses 3 through 5. And there shall be no more curse. Hallelujah.
Amen.
The throne of Elohim and of the Lamb shall be in it, and his servants shall serve him. And they shall see his face, and his name shall be in their foreheads. And there shall be no night there. Wow, no night. And they need no candle, neither light of the sun. For Yahweh, Elohim, giveth them light. See, it's not. And they shall reign forever and ever.
Mm-hmm.
So I think, where we see the moon, to kind of recap everything, we see the moon working in tandem with the sun. The sun takes rulership of the day and even over the night by reflecting through the moon. The moon is its faithful witness. The stars have a role also, more so maybe for the Mazarot and the timing of the months, which in the beginning may have been more perfect than it is now. And then we are, when we are being restored, we have to keep in mind, I think, that the whole purpose of our even creation, for us to be living and breathing, is that we were created by a loving creator who has a humongous amount of wisdom and a great plan in place, much greater than the plan we see taking place on this planet. There is a plan of restoration for us and for all of his creation that has been corrupted by an evil one that where vanity was, or pride was found in him, and vanity came into being. And he is bringing this all back into a place of correction in an amazingly lovingly way as our loving Father. And we will come out of the darkness. We'll be released from bondage in Mitzrayim and Egypt. And we will be consecrated. He sacrificed his firstborn that we may have life. And there is that way that he's showing to us in everything. It's not like there are inanimate objects that are just happen to be around, and so much of what we can produce here ourselves and then throw it away, take it in, put it in the trash, and the trash man takes it away, and its purpose is done for us. Everything has a purpose for him, each and every one of us, and we are part of an amazing plan that this calendar helps us to be in step with him and to draw close to him, that he may be our Father and we may be his children. That's an ongoing theme through the whole word. And so I'll shut up. Okay.
Yeah, okay. I just wanted you to go back, if you could scroll back one more time to the very beginning to our Psalm 104:19.
Okay, hold on a second.
Okay, and we'll conclude. It's very brief what I had to say.
Yeah.
Again, though, I don't know if we had context with that or not, but I can put it, you put 19 through 22. Okay, so this emphasizes again that the role of the moon here is to divide the day from the night. That is the meaning of seasons, or the Moedim here. It is to strictly divide the day from the night, which is the initial instruction of Genesis 1:14, that the two great lights were to divide the day from night. That was their main purpose. And this talks about how the animals respond to this division of day and night, and they're coming and going. So pulling everything together,
Mm-hmm.
I want to emphasize that the moed in verse 19 here indicates a different type of cyclical action than the festivals.
Then the
festival here.
Right. It's really talking about day and night.
Yeah.
yeah. Okay. Wow, this is good. I think this has been very, very helpful. I know it has been to me, and I love what you've done. What do you got, Julie?
Well, I had one. Can anybody off the top of your head tell me the verse that says that you have no need that I write to you, for you are the children of light?
It's in Thessalonians.
Looking in
Sounds
Thessalonians.
like could be in First John or no, it's okay.
I think
Yeah,
it's
it might be Thessalonians.
I
Could
think
be.
Thessalonians.
Um,
Because I wanted this week I went back and
First Thessalonians 5:5.
okay, 1 Thessalonians 5:5. I wanted to.
What a country!
Okay, as I was listening to the Zadok Way, if you have not listened to those 4 videos I sent out a couple of weeks ago, I tell everybody those are amazing. I was just literally blown away. The quotes from the New Testament and on and on. But one of the things they kept bringing out, that the reason we see children of light and children of darkness, the children of light, the Zadok priests call themselves children of light. And so the other place when it says that you have no need that I write to you, because you know full well, just speaking about when the Messiah is coming. But he goes on here, you brethren are not in darkness, that day should overtake you as a thief. When it says that no man knows the day or the hour, but he's saying this is speaking of the children of darkness that it's going to overtake. He says you are children of light, meaning you're on the correct calendar, and the children of the day, we are not of the night nor of the darkness. Let us not sleep as do others. And I just wanted to point that out because we're talking about night and darkness, but really light. This war that we're in, the war scrolls, the whole thing is about the children of light and the children of darkness. And that's the days that I believe we're living in. We're seeing the evil becoming more evil and the light becoming brighter.